Chapter 8 from Ravensfall by Claire Casey. Cara sat in front of the fire, staring into the flames as she waited for Warner to return from putting the twins to bed. Yawning, she rubbed her eyes. Sleep hadn't come easy since Adana had forced her way into her thoughts. Cara hadn't seen or heard Adana since, but she found that her dreams were being filled to the darkness that chilled her to the bone. Having been left exhausted, Cara wanted nothing more than a peaceful night's sleep. "Are they all right?" she asked, as Warner walked back into the room and sat down next to her. "They're fine. They went to sleep really quickly and without making any kind of fuss," he told her as he pulled her close. "They must take after you. They're too good-natured to have taken after me. I know that childhood wasn't easy for you, but I'm sure that you're lovely," Cara smiled at him. "I'm not sure if others would have agreed with that. Even when I was still with my parents, I was getting into mischief on a regular basis." He continued. "I'm sure that I must have been a right terror as a child." "Every child gets up to mischief. That's the point of growing up," she told him. "I know that wouldn't change you for the world." Kissing her, Warner refused to think about what his life would be like if Cara hadn't come into it. She pulled back slightly. He looked down at her. In the firelight, Cara's hair glinted like gold. Running his fingers through her hair's thick waves, he wanted no one but her. As the fire died down, they got to their feet and made their way towards the warmth of their bed. Stopping at the door of the twins' room, they expected to hear the quietness of them sleeping. Instead, the low murmur of someone whispering could be heard through the door. As they shared a worried look, Cara opened the door. Peering inside, she hoped to see nothing. Part of her had hoped that they had heard nothing more than the wind outside, and yet she still feared what could be staring back at her. The room was silent, with the twins sleeping soundly in their cribs, undisturbed by whatever had been whispering to them. As she moved to close the door, Cara's gaze was caught by a movement. It was a shadow, nothing more, but in the darkness, Cara recognised a hooded figure. Freezing to the spot, Cara gripped the door handle, unable to take her eyes away from where she had seen the shadow. "Cara?" Warner asked. "What is it? What did you see?" "Her," Cara hissed. "I saw her." Turning to the door, Cara swept back into the main part of the cottage. Stirring the fire back to life, she hung a small cauldron on it from the hook above the fire. Once she had filled it with water, she quickly began gathering what she needed. "What in the name of all the gods is going on?" Warner asked as he watched what she was doing. "Adana," Cara replied. "I saw Adana's shadow in the twins' room." "But you and Brenna killed her." "I know, but there are ways to move between the realms, this realm and the next. It takes someone of great power to be able to travel between them," Cara told him. "I didn't think Adana had that kind of power, but it was still her." As she placed the herbs that she'd gathered in the now boiling water, Cara looked at Warner. The fear that she could see in his eyes broke her heart, but she couldn't let it stop her. There was one thing that she could do to hold Adana at bay. Adana promised to get her revenge, and she seemed to be doing her best to make good on that promise. Cara continued, as she kept her voice low. "What can we do to stop her?" Warner asked, as he swallowed back the fear and panic. "I can place some protective magic around the twins, as well as around the cottage to try and hold her back, Cara told him, but I'm not sure how long it'll work. But hopefully it buys enough time to find a way to stop her. Warner kept a close watch on Cara and what she was doing. As she continued to work at the cauldron, he could hear her muttering to herself. Her voice was too low to make out what she was saying. An urgency was there that could not be denied. Spinning some of the mixture into a bowl, Cara allowed it to cool slightly. Once ready, she walked into the twins' room, carrying the bowl in one hand and a sprig of rosemary in the other. As she came to a stop at the closed door, Warner stood at her side. Keeping her focus on the task at hand, Cara dipped the rosemary in the water of the bowl. Flicking it towards the door, she repeated 3 times, all while whispering words that he didn't understand. Yet the sound of them seemed to weave their way into his thoughts. As Cara continued to chant, Warner glanced over his shoulder. He was certain that he had heard someone else chanting with her. It had been barely a whisper, but he had been certain that he'd heard them. Feeling a tingle in his fingertips, he turned his attention back to Cara. Walking away from the twins' room, she repeated the process throughout the cottage. Back in front of the still burning fire, Cara stood staring into the flames. Lifting the bowl, she threw the liquid inside into the flames. Putting the bowl down, she turned to Warner and sank into his arms. Comforting her as she cried, Warner felt his head spin as he tried to understand what had happened. He had seen so much, but death had always been a certainty. It had never been something anyone had come back from. He had more questions than answers. What do we do now? He whispered to Cara. We should be safe in the cottage, for the time being at least. Brenna and Rowan need to know about this. Brenna may know of ways to stop Adana for good, Cara told him. We'll need to go to them first thing in the morning. We'll stop her, Warner told her. That's what we thought the first time, and look what happened. Cara sniffed as she wiped away a tear. First of all, you'll need to get some rest, Warner continued. Both of us will be thinking straighter after some sleep. I don't think I'll ever be able to sleep, not after this.